trying to figure out Hansi Flick. Is he insane? Is he applying the same quotation what Newton said before? Insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different result. Playing with a high line defense, offside trap, not playing with one back line formation for more than 3 games. That's actually insanity. The next game is against Real Madrid. against Vinicius on the left side, Mbappe as a striker, and Rodrigo on the right side. What is he gonna do? If he keeps doing this, I think he's gonna eat 5, maybe 4. But Hansi Flick, he's gonna fix it. But that's insanity. That's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing again and again, repeating the same mistakes again and again, and expecting a different result. That's actually purely insanity. Hansi Flick, let's do it! Hello everybody, this is Al Capitano here again at Foodie World Media with our new show here at Foodie Tactic Hub. We analyze every team, most of the team in the Premier League and La Liga. And today, after the FIFA break, we came back with another game of Barcelona versus Girona. Thank you for tuning in. Please, if you want to support us, give us that like button and subscribe and leave me your comment if Hansi Flick is crazy or is crazy. There's no other option. There's no other definition of craziness but doing the same mistake again and again. So as we can see, Barcelona started the game with 4-3-3, playing with Chesney in the back, Eric Garcia on the left center back, and Koparsi on the right center back, Kondi on the right side, and Baldi came back after long injury on the left back. In the center midfield, played with De Jong and Casado. Right in front of them, Pedri started off, and Pedri in front of them. Lamine Yamal on the right, Fernandes, the young boy in the front, and Rashford on the left. And Girona played with 4-4-2. So during the build-up, Barcelona mainly counted on playing with 4-3-3, or sometimes De Jong will come in them as a third center back, and Baldi and Kondi, they will go a little bit forward, leaving Casado covering them and De Jong helping the center back to start the build-up. And this is gonna be the formation during the build-up sometimes. And sometimes during the build-up, we would see even 4-3-3, but we would see that Kondi sometimes would go up and help Lamine Yamal, and De Jong will see him covering Kondi. So De Jong in this game did a phenomenal job with covering up the backs, and at the same time we would see the same thing in the other side. If Baldi goes up helping Rashford, we would see Casado covering up Baldi. The two center midfielder, they did an amazing job covering up the left back and the right back. During the attack, we will see a slight change where Pedri would play as a behind the attacker, as we know that Hansi Flick loves the formation of 4-2-3-1. But unfortunately, due to the injuries and a long list of injuries that player Olmo wasn't available, and Fairman, this is his first game after injury, So he had to play with Pedri behind the attacker. So Tony Fernandes was deployed as the central striker, attempting to receive the ball with his back to goal for distribution. But he didn't do that good job with it. Although in minute 26, he was able to give a De Jong when he came from the central midfield, as he left the double pivot and left Casado alone, which Casado did an amazing job in the first half, playing as a central midfield alone sometimes when De Jong was helping the attackers. So what would be is sometimes we would see the formation 4-1-4-1. And would see De Jong helping out Pedri. Sometimes he will try to exploit the central space. So in minute 26, De Jong was able to play as a second striker, and Fernandes gave De Jong an amazing assist. But unfortunately, De Jong wasn't lucky enough to score the goal. This is an example of attacking phase for Barcelona in this game. As we saw, that was the formation of Barcelona when they started the game during different phases, during the build-up, when they counted on 4-3-3 or 3-4-3. Or sometimes during attacking, they went from 4-2-3-1, or sometimes they played with 4-1-4-1 in certain cases. Yes, Hansi Flick tried to count on Fernandes and give him the trust to start the game, but unfortunately Fernandes wasn't effective enough due to his lack of experience. And let's keep it in mind, this is his first game this season. During the first 20 minutes, Barcelona tried to play in the opponent's third, or let me say it, in Barcelona's final third. They kept the ball there and they kept the position there. They actually prevented Girona from holding the ball or stopped the quick transitions they tried to attempt. As a result of this position, Pedri was able to score an amazing goal. An amazing goal. It was a phenomenal goal. That Pedri, he reminded me, he took me back in the days when Leo, he used to score a goal with a mind, with a brain. Oh, those days. Easy goal, easy goal, easy Pedri. I love this goal. But after the goal, Barcelona calmed the rhythm down and they weren't pressing that much. And we saw that they started committing some mistakes. However, in minute 15, Rashford during the past games, he was trying to give it all. He was trying to give it hard, and we saw that he recovered the ball in minute 15, and he started helping out with the high press. Although the high press wasn't effective in this game. In this game, the high press from Barcelona wasn't effective. But we saw that certain players like Rashford, they tried their best. Even Fermin Lopez, when he came back in the second half, he tried his best. But overall, we saw that they were lacking with the high press, especially Lamine Yamal. But I totally understand. Lamine Yamal, this is his first game after the injury. I don't know, was it injury or was it an excuse to not join the national team? But I'm sure he's ready for the Clásico. To minute 20, when Girona scored an amazing goal through Witzel with a bicycle goal. That goal was amazing, amazing, amazing. It was perfecto. That showed one thing, that Koparsi, I don't want to put all the fault in him, but he had it because the player was next to him. Yes, he was surprised, but Koparsi normally he would be good with these interceptions. However, in minute 30, or 29-30 when Rashford had a free kick and he gave it all, but unfortunately it hit the post. During the first half, we saw that Rashford had a couple of chances. We saw his individual attempts to make a difference alongside with Lamine Yamal in the first half, especially in the first 20 minutes. Was in the mood, trying to show off, or let me say it, trying to pass the players with his amazing skills. But I would say that I'm not gonna comment about Lamine Yamal in this game because I totally understand. This is his first game after injury, if you would call it an injury. But I'm expecting a lot from him in the Clásico. The Clásico next Saturday. Before ending the first half, in minute 32, when we showed you on the tactical board that sometimes Casado covers Condi and Casado was able to operate as a fourth defender. And that was another strategy, having Casado and De Jong and Pedri together. I felt like the midfield was quite strong. I believe that Hansi Flick should play with this tripleto, with these three players in the midfield in the Clásico, because it gives the formation a balance, especially in the defending side and in the offensive side. Before getting into the second half, I want to get into the insanity that Hansi Flick is implementing. Last season, I totally understand that you're playing with a high line defense and counting on the offside trap. Yes, because you had Inigo Martinez, who was a leader and a capitano, the defending line, and organizing the defending line and making the offside trap works. But in this season, you lost one of your most important players. Until now, you weren't able to replace him. And obviously, due to the financial crisis that Barcelona has, they weren't able to replace Inigo Martinez. But you have Araujo, you have other players where you can play in a different tactical approach. Same as you did against Newcastle. Like in Newcastle's game, you weren't playing with a high defensive lane. You were playing like with a mid-press, with a high press. You weren't counting on the offside traps because clearly the players you have right now, they don't meet the requirement of the offside trap strategy. Especially Eric Garcia, we see that he's slow, and Kobarsi, he's not playing his best these days. Araujo, I don't know what's happening with Araujo. He played 3 straight games well for no reason. Hansi Flick pinched him. He took him out of the starting line, and as well as Christensen, he's as well new to this formation. So you don't have the individual characteristic that allows you to play with a high defensive line. You need to adapt with these changes and a little bit reduce the offside trap and try to find different solutions. That's what I thought was gonna happen during the FIFA break. But however, nothing changed. In the first half, Girona had 3 chances due to the offside trap because it was broken. All the teams now understood the offside trap. They know how to break it. And let's not forget that the main player for the high press, who's Rafinha, he wasn't able to play consistently this season. We saw him injured a lot. He wasn't able to start the games sometimes. So that's why I see Hansi Flick trying to do the same thing again and again. And that's exactly the definition of insanity. I know I was a little bit harsh with Hansi Flick, but I completely trust this guy because what he has done last year, it was a phenomenal job. From nothing, he built up an amazing team. Let me reword it, not from nothing. He had youngsters and some expired players like Martinez, and he made them stars, and Rafinha and all those players. He made them stars. But I completely trust this guy. Once he has the tools, once his players are back, Rafinha and some other players, he would bring Barca back. Now let's get into the second half. Hansi Flick started the second half with mild adjustments, bringing in Fermin Lopez, and this was the missing piece in the last games. And we saw as soon as he came in, he was trying hard. He had a couple of shots, especially in minute 51 when the ball hit the post. And we saw that Barcelona started to try to shoot from outside the box. Few minutes later, in minute 60, we saw that Hansi Flick started thinking about the Clásico. He took out Lamine Yamal and Pedri, and as well as a few minutes later we saw that he as well took Baldi out. So it was obvious that Hansi Flick didn't want to lose his players, especially Pedri, who played the international break, and Lamine Yamal, who was injured during the international break, and Baldi, who just came back from injury. It was obvious that Hansi Flick was thinking about the upcoming games because they have a tough schedule. After all the substitutions, we saw that Rashford played as a striker and Fermin Lopez as a left winger, and we saw Ronnie plays as a right winger instead of Lamine Yamal. And as soon as he came in, we saw the threat, and we saw that he's confident. This guy, for the second game, I noticed that even in Spilia's game, this guy, he plays with a confidence. You feel like he's been playing with the team for the past 10 years. He's not at Lamine Yamal's level, but with time, you're gonna see him improving and improving, getting more time on the pitch. Actually, I would have rather that Ronnie Bardghji started the game instead of Fernandes, and Lamine Yamal plays the central striker. At the end of the day, this is Hansi Flick's thoughts, so we can't do anything about it. But Ronnie Bardghji, I feel like he needs the time on the pitch to perform better, to gain more confidence and have the chemistry with the other players. And I could see this guy has a huge potential, but this potential needs to be utilized. In minute 82, Hansi Flick had another substitution, another major substitution. Araujo. This guy, I believe in him to the extent that nobody would believe in him. This guy, he needs the confidence, he needs to play, he needs to touch the pitch, and he needs to play few games to gain the confidence. As soon as he came in, we saw Araujo during the second half when he was encouraging his teammates and pushing them to play forward and to score the second goal. He came himself and played as a striker, and he scored the winning goal. I can't judge him in defending side, but he came in and played as a striker, and he scored the winning goal, and we saw how he celebrated. I feel like Araujo needed this goal. He needed this goal for his confidence. I have only one wish, that Hansi plays him in the next game, at least in the Champions League, so we could see how his performance in the defending side And we all know Araujo a few years back. He was one of the best defenders in the world. But injuries and some mistakes that he committed, especially in PSG's game 2 years ago, that actually destroyed him. Once Araujo gets back into the shape and performs his old performance, he would be one of the best defenders in the world. And Hansi Flick really needs him. He should give him the confidence, because right now you don't have Inigo Martinez. You don't have that special defender that you keep Araujo outside of the pitch. But I'm very confident that one day Hansi Flick is gonna count on him. Maybe he's preparing him for the best. Maybe he's preparing him for the rest of the season. Who knows? But I'm very confident in this guy. Now we're coming to the end of the video. I just want to say something, that we didn't get into deep tactical analysis on this game because it didn't matter too much tactically. What it mattered is the 3 points. Barcelona really needed this 3 points and win before the Clásico, because in the Clásico there is another game. This 3 point is very important. At the end of the video, I want to ask you one question. Do you think the approach that Hansi Flick is following with the high defensive lane and offside trap is gonna work, or he's gonna change it in the upcoming games? And peace till next time.